You want me to put that on my tudger?
Megxit. The Megxit emails. Hello, I'm hgtudor. There's detailed but anonymous testimony from insiders at The Sun, which sat at the heart for a cash for leaks allegation involving a royal official and the newspaper's former top editor, Dan Wootton, with a suggestion that this was being done as against the Sussexes. Now, these emails are being published for the first time. A series of anonymous emails blowing the whistle on payments by the Sun to the partner of a senior royal aide were written by 3 former colleagues of the controversial journalist Dan Wootton, a byline Times investigation can reveal. The newspaper has received credible intelligence to suggest the 3 worked together to inform on the Murdoch tabloid's former executive editor, as they feared a cover-up by Publisher News UK if they did not. To protect themselves from exposure, the colleagues went to extraordinary lengths to cover their tracks after reaching out to Scotland Yard, Buckingham Palace lawyers, and retired Guardian journalist Nick Davies. Byline Times will not be identifying them as a matter of journalistic source protection. However, it can reveal how they presented themselves as being a temporary worker and a friend of a junior News UK administrator with access to the Sun's editorial payment systems. They acted following the publication of 2 stories about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their son Archie in June and July 2019, and the subsequent discovery of payments totalling £4,000 to a publicist whose partner is Prince William's former press officer Christian Jones. For the first time, this newspaper is reproducing some of the email's content. Part of them reads, "If a journalist is using someone's partner to pay Prince William's PR for information about his own brother and sister-in-law, that shouldn't happen." Does this email demonstrate that there was briefing against the Sussexes, or do you regard it as more sympathy-seeking on their part and that this is being done for propaganda? I'm sure you'll air your thoughts in the comments. The email added, "Someone in editorial started questioning why stories that weren't on the front page were getting thousands of pounds in fees. My friend says someone saw a string of payments within a few weeks to the publicist Jones's partner about the royals and then asked who this person was. They couldn't understand why a showbiz PR would have that kind of knowledge." The insider information was later handed to Neil Basu, the former Met Police Assistant Commissioner overseeing counter-terrorism at the time, and led to 2 internal inquiries at Buckingham Palace. News UK denies making any unlawful payments to third parties, and Jones and his partner say they did not provide private information about the Sussexes to The Sun. Byline Times has independently sourced its own copies of the emails, which were first addressed to Nick Davies, a retired Guardian journalist, in spring 2020. Davies, whose investigations for The Guardian exposed the phone hacking scandal at the News of the World, leading to that newspaper's closure in 2011 and a major Old Bailey trial, confirmed his role in passing on the anonymous communications to relevant third parties. "I am retired," he explained, "but I still get approached with stories 2 or 3 times a week and have to say no to them," he said. But this email was clearly important. There was a clear public interest if there had been misfeasance by a public official. It was important that there was clearly a chance that what was being said was true, so I boosted it into the hands of the people with the power. First, Davies reached out to lawyers for the Duke of Sussex, who also passed the information on to Neil Basu. "I was in the middle, and I admitted I had no idea if what the email said was true," Davies added. "It was detailed information, but the truth was not clear. The police needed some kind of evidence to put before a judge to get a warrant to go to Buckingham Palace and search Christian Jones's records and those at the Sun. They needed to meet the source to get a sworn statement or some other form of sworn evidence. I urged them, the anonymous whistleblower, to meet the police, who were willing to do so off the record, but the source would not come forward. The information in the emails was so detailed and credible, however, that it prompted the Duke of Sussex to explore a civil lawsuit with a formal letter before action to the Sun. The information they contain centred on the appropriateness of payments going to the partner of someone acting in an official capacity for the royal family. Posing as the Sun worker's friend, the authors wrote to Davies, "I understand you are now retired from journalism. Perhaps, if this is not of interest to you directly, you might wish to pass it on to someone capable if you think it worthwhile. I have no wish to be involved because I would fear for the safety and well-being of my loved ones. You played a pivotal role in exposing wrongdoing at News International. The company, now News UK, claims to be the cleanest media company in the world. It is not. I will give you one example. See where it leads." The emails claim to be from a News UK worker who, during a brief period of employment there, had access to payment systems used by editorial teams and had knowledge of internal legal compliance protocols. The worker, it was claimed, had maintained a friendship with a second whistleblower at the tabloid. One email went on, "Everyone there now has to undergo strict training to avoid corrupt payments, but at the Sun they are circumventing this. I know this because there is one case involving one of the top editors, Dan Wooten, that has been hushed up." The email continued, "The impression my friend gave is that only a few people within the Sun know about it. They've told me before that when the connection was made between Christian Jones's partner, the publicist, and Jones, there was a real sense of panic because Wooten is so powerful within that office. He deals directly with Chief Executive Rebecca Brooks on stories sometimes, he has his own radio show, and he's forced out a lot of people as he's moved up through the organisation. He's tried and succeeded to get people sacked. He's that powerful." Explaining the situation, the emails continue, "Dan Wooten is a showbiz journalist, but in the last year or so, if you check, you will see he's written a number of stories about the royal family. There were concerns raised internally last year over a number of payments he had made, totalling thousands of pounds to a freelance PR. If you look on Google, the publicist worked for a number of showbiz PR firms, so perhaps not a big deal. The reason concerns were flagged was because Wooten suddenly began paying the publicist thousands of pounds for royal stories, starting on or around 15th of July last year, 2019. It went on. These began with large payments of £3,000 upwards for single stories about the Duchess of Sussex that only someone very close to them could know about. The information was very detailed, and questions were asked very discreetly internally about why the amounts paid were suddenly so high about stories involving public officials, which is a big red flag at News UK now. The answer is, it was quickly established that it was the publicist being the partner of William and Kate's press secretary, Christian Jones. The email went on, by the company's own updated rules, any suspicion of a payment to a public official should be flagged up immediately to lawyers. The reason I'm contacting you is that this didn't happen. I have no reason why, although given the seniority of the journalist and the panic it would cause internally, perhaps that is sufficient explanation. Only a handful of people had direct knowledge of it, and I'm not sure Dan Wooten was even confronted about it. I don't know the journalist personally, but it really angers me that good people, secretaries, even lost jobs on the News of the World, and here we are, again, possibly, and it has not even been looked into." What do you think about these suggestions of skullduggery? That these emails were being leaked, that they contained information about Megxit, and that it would look supportive of the Sussexes' position that they claimed that they were being briefed against and that information was unlawfully being leaked about them? Or do you think this is all a huge propaganda exercise that is being utilised now in order to assist in the rehabilitation of their image, and to what end? Share your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.